Okay, so Limbo, the Void Magician or Void Wizard from Update 15. He is of course our newest Warframe and one that has caused quite a bit of controversy. Now before I give my opinion of him and his abilities or his looks, let me just stress that these of course are only opinions and I'm not trying to sway anyone into getting or not getting Limbo or liking him or not liking him. That choice is entirely up to you. It is a touchy subject at the minute and I know some people either love him and his looks and some absolutely hate him and his abilities, just hate everything about him. I think he has no place in Warframe whatsoever. So I'll go over what I think is good and what I think is bad with Limbo, and I will also discuss how I've gone about using him and his abilities. Now the one thing to remember about Limbo is that once you or your squad have entered the rift, you will gain energy at an increased rate of 2 energy a second, and it also stacks with energy siphon, so you can get a lot of energy pretty damn quick with Limbo. And one of the bad things is that once you're inside the rift you cannot collect pickups because they are effectively on a different plane or a different dimension, so no loot for you. Limbo himself also gains a 20% sprint increase while he's inside the rift, and you can also revive players while in the rift, which is great because you take no damage whatsoever while doing it. So I'll quickly go over his abilities for those of you who haven't seen him or are maybe on console and are looking forward to this update a lot. So his first ability is called Banish, where you can target an enemy and send them into the rift plane. You can also of course send a teammate into the rift plane as well if they're low on health or maybe they're going to go down, to kind of save them. Once in the rift plane you can't deal damage to anything that's not in the rift plane. Basically if something else isn't in the rift plane you can't hurt it and they can't hurt you. You can also of course recast it on teammates to take them back out of the rift, which is a really nice hotfix that went out lately because before this you couldn't do that. So the biggest problem with Banish is that in the wrong hands it's going to be abused, there's no doubt about it. It's one thing to have a friend on comms in TeamSpeak with you to banish you as a player and take you back, but a random Joe Soap will probably leave you banished for well up to a minute just to troll you. So honestly this needs a solution and it needs one really quick. His second ability is called Rift Walk, which will put Limbo on his own into the rift. It is a toggleable ability so you can turn it on and off as you see fit. For me this is amazing. It makes you invulnerable in the rift while you regen your energy and can get around enemies without them doing any damage to you, with maybe just one exception. The aura from Eximus can still affect you, so you can still take those toxic and poison damages from the aura from Eximus. With Riftwalk you can become your squad's designated assassin for high level threat targets like these Eximuses or heavily armoured enemies. Now remember, nothing can damage you while in the Riftwalk, so just single out that target, banish him, which pulls him into the rift with you, letting you kill him, leaving the rest of your squad to wipe out the larger groups of enemies. It's an amazing ability when used correctly. Now his third ability is called Rift Surge, which allows Limbo to increase the damage inflicted on enemies that have been banished to the rift. So you can make them take up on 300% damage while in the rift. Now this was patched up from 150% damage in a recent hotfix, and the casting speed was also increased because the casting speed was a bit of a problem. So many of Limbo's abilities need to be used in correlation with one another and they all have casting animations, so having them slow down just leaves Limbo hanging and in too much danger of being put down by enemies while he's casting all of his abilities. Now his fourth and ultimate ability is called Cataclysm. It's the dome you're seeing me pop in and out of in the footage. It's where Limbo will tear open a rift, causing a decent amount of damage to any caught in its placement. This dome can stay up for a minute with power duration mods, making it incredible against armed enemies like Grineer, Corpus, or if you're in the Void. Once its timer runs out it will also do an explosion and it shrinks over time as well, and enemies who pass in and out of the dome will also take minor damage of about 300. And now the thing about Cataclysm is it can't be shot into if you're on the outside because nothing will take damage, and if you're on the inside of the dome shooting outside, nothing will take damage as well. You both need to be on the same plane or in the same dimension if you will, so you need to be versatile and you need to actually move in and out if you want to do damage. Player abilities can be used while inside Cataclysm and it will affect enemies, so that's a huge bonus. And the fact that you can have the cryopod inside the rift protecting it from all outside damage makes this a seriously powerful ability. It's not like Frost Stone where it can be broken at higher levels. This can't be destroyed, so the only way to damage the pod is for enemies to enter it. Infested of course will try to enter the Cataclysm, which in turn will make them take more damage if you've got Rift Surge active. In the footage of this Tower 4 defense, you're basically seeing me play peekaboo with enemies, popping in and out of the Cataclysm to take out enemies where I see fit. I wait inside until the Moes approach the Cataclysm, and once they step inside I try to deal with them as fast as possible. and then I pop back outside and deal with the rest. But with Vor, it was honestly a little bit of a clusterfuck because he was inside the dome 1 second and then he ported outside it the next, but eventually he did go down. Another thing to take note of is Limbo is also the king of rescue missions. You can banish the hostage to make him invulnerable, and then you can just rift walk to the exit while he follows. He won't take any damage, you won't take any damage. It might be a little bit overpowered, and as of last night it wasn't patched. It might be now when this video goes up, or it might be if you're watching it in a week or two. But with the good comes the bad, and Limbo of course has his fair share of problems. Not being able to pick up items while in the Rift or in the Cataclysm is an absolutely huge problem. I've seen guys cast Banish and Cataclysm over the dome on random players at the end of a defense mission to stop them picking up mods, and it's abilities like this that makes his trolling potential just off the charts, and DE really need to fix this somehow really fast. Players really need to be able to remove Banish from themselves, not to be relying on the Limbo to remove it himself, because if it's a troll he's not going to. Maybe give us some kind of a hotkey or an ability that allows us to purge squad buffs in a mission, allowing us to remove Banish when a mission ends or when mods are around. Like I said, friendly Limbos will recast it to remove it from you if they did it by mistake, but trolls will not, and they will leave you in Limbo. Oh, I apologise for that one, that was terrible. Now, it might actually be nice to have some kind of screen indicator to let us know what squad buffs are active as well, or what auras are active, like other MMOs have. Like, I know Warcraft isn't the same, but when you play Warcraft and you're in a group with players, you will see what buffs they're bringing to a squad, and it would be nice to see when you jump into random Warframe matches what auras or what buffs are being brought to the table, or what buffs you have active. But that's getting me sidetracked a little bit. Now, trolling exists and Banish is just far too big of a problem for DE to ignore, and Cataclysm also being active for too long can really irritate players because they want those pickups, and I want them myself if I'm a Limbo, and if Cataclysm is up I also can't get. So Cataclysm's benefit of regaining energy kind of overshadows the fact that you can't pick up mods and everything else. All in all, Limbo is a very difficult Warframe with a high learning curve. You really cannot expect to spam his abilities. You have to select targets and decide which ally or which squad mate to send into the Rift so that you get the most out of Limbo. He is not an offensive Warframe at all, as so many people seem to think he is. Banish, Riftwalk and Cataclysm are all there for utility and defensive measures. In my eyes anyway. He's not a Rhino or a Nova, he is a Tenno strategist in my eyes. I think maybe part of the complaints about Limbo come from players maybe not fully understanding how Limbo is meant to be utilised or how to play him, and the fact that he is really fragile as well means that you can get killed really easily if you're not using him right. I mean, you can also use Cataclysm as a support for frames such as Vauban in a defense to keep him supplied with energy, or to allow Banshees to have near unlimited energy while she's casting her Soundquake. If you place it off the beaten track away from the pod, it is a place for players to enter if they need to regen energy. You can cast Banish on a Nyx who's spamming Absorb right on top of a pod, which will regen her energy, allowing her to maintain Absorb kind of indefinitely. But if you banish a random player, chances are they will automatically assume the worst, thinking that you're a troll. What they don't actually realise is that right now they are in God mode, regenerating energy very fast, still able to use their abilities, and would gain back a percentage of their health if Limbo is using the new augmented mod. My overall and honest assessment of Limbo is he has the potential to be our greatest utility frame, with a few more tweaks, with a few more fixes, and with that trolling aspect removed. Should you build him or buy him, that is entirely up to you. He's a tough frame to come to terms with, and if you're the kind of player who likes to think outside of the box, then he might be perfect for you. But if you're someone who prefers to deal tons of damage while thinking about how many kills the stats or the scoreboard is going to show at the end, then you should probably avoid him, because chances are you just simply won't understand him. Hopefully this video has been somewhat helpful and maybe helped explain Limbo a little bit better to maybe those of you who might not have understood him as well as you wanted to. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. As always, it helps me out. Leave a comment in the section below and give me your honest opinion of Limbo. Hit that subscribe button for more Warframe content, and as always, thanks very much for watching.